I just assumed you weren't going to be here to press go, Jordan. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Monday, December 4th. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, and we have the exact same two-game slate that we were looking at earlier today with literally no changes unless you were really hanging your hat on whether or not Chris Duarte was going to be in today. I'm going to assume you weren't. I'm going to assume that most people on the planet didn't think about Chris Duarte at all. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me and Adam on Twitter. Our handles are below our bodies. How's your afternoon?
Good. Disappointed we didn't get any news other than Chris Duarte to talk about, but other than that, it was good.
Yeah. I made a little lunch, had a call with Ben, got my content out. The cleaning crew got here. I sulked away to a different room, took a nap. It was good stuff. It's good stuff. So house is clean. Katie's on her way out tomorrow for a couple days. So I've just got a clean house to just relax and watch sports in for the next couple days. I'm excited.
Sounds good. Yeah, mine's cleaner than normal, but still have something to do.
There you go. Well, we've got a Celtic. Are you gonna watch any of these games? I think your answer is no, but I feel like you don't have anything else to do tonight either.
Yeah, no, I mean I'll probably watch because I'm gambling on it.
Yeah. Well, two games, like are you gonna play hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, but no football.
I'm not playing football. Probably will not turn on football.
I did not register yet, but if what I want to get into is still available after this, I might do it just from like a pure boredom situation. Just want two things to sweat instead of one.
Yeah, no, I mean I would. I hate Showdown. And I've thoroughly enjoyed just not playing it this year.
Yeah. All Showdown?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't figure out if I like NBA Showdown in comparison to NFL. NFL, because of there were two just generic touchdowns last night that I didn't need to see happen, but I feel like that's pretty hard to do in the NBA until you get that generic blowout run.
I just hate it from a duping standpoint. Like I need to put a bunch of work in that is entirely separate from the work that I put in for everything else DFS related, and I'd rather just not do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe you and I should put our heads together and put that dupe work in.
Yeah, go ahead and just send me the file.
Okay. I figured that was coming.
Yeah.
I'll let you know what the prompts are in ChatGPT.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's been a year. That went live a year ago, like last week.
Oh, for ChatGPT, I was like, you and me weren't using it yet, or at least I wasn't.
I was not using it the way that we were using it now. When I found out that you were able to give it a prompt and it would write a poem or something for you, yeah. I was writing derogatory poems about some of the members in Discord and dropping them into our Discord. But other than that, I didn't really use it too much. The good members, don't give me that look, Jordan. The people that have been around for years that can take it, not just strangers. All people that I have already had to banish from Discord for inappropriate things that have made their way back. The good old days. The good old days. Hell of a Liverpool match this weekend. We didn't get a chance to talk about that at any point. I'm just trying to kill time. We only have two games. Liverpool was fun though. 2 goals in a minute, down 3-2, take the lead 4-3. Oof, doesn't get any better than that. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm judging. See, I can tell that you don't have your shit together yet.
No,
because I see
done.
you
it's
all
done.
over the place.
I was letting you ramble about Liverpool. My stuff's good. I'm
okay.
I'm
then let's get in this. I legitimately thought I was killing time for you.
No, I was just sitting here looking at my stuff. Like, what is this kid talking about?
Normally, when I see the head and the eyes darting a lot, you're bouncing between tabs, copying stuff from one to the other, and I could usually tell when you're running things.
Yeah, no, I was just looking through because I run a new set of lineups and was just looking through and then trying to figure out why I have so much of somebody that I don't want. But no, I'm good.
Well, then let's get into it. The Boston Celtics are 5.5-point favorites in Indiana, 244.5 total. This one looks a little bit different than it did earlier. Just a hair, but nothing too crazy. Have you looked at the ownership for this one now?
Yeah, and The one that stands out to me is the Peyton Pritchard ownership is much different, and my exposures to Peyton Pritchard are much different.
Yes, this is where I was leading you because when we started today, it was like, hey, the 5 starters are getting owned out the ass to some degree, and obviously they should. Like that part was really easy. Just to hit everybody with this one, we'll call it 30% ownership to Brown, Tatum, and Holiday, 40 plus to Derek White and Al Horford, 31 to Peyton Pritchard, 27 to Sam Hauser. I don't have any of these two dudes. Can we just start with those two? What's happening here?
I'm getting them now, and I wasn't this morning, which is really weird. But Pritchard's my highest owned guy on the Celtics now. I have 58% Pritchard. He's the one that I was referring to a second ago when I said I was trying to figure out why I have somebody that I don't want. He was showing up a ton in my lineup generator video earlier for DraftKings specifically. Walked him back in that, recommended not playing like 40%. I have 58%. And on the one hand, I guess I get it. Like he's $4,200. He's facing the Pacers. We are going to run into the issue where there's just not a lot of plays in this price range. That's why you're going to be getting to a lot of Indiana guys because they're like the only team that has players in this price range. So the price range is useful, but I'm still just surprised at how much I'm getting. Like you're talking about somebody probably playing 20 to 22 minutes. He's not a great point per minute guy. He's not terrible, but not a great point per minute guy. I guess it's just a function of the slate. And the same goes for Hauser. $4,500. I'm getting 34% now. I had 1% this morning, but shooting guard small forward at 4,500. He's getting 27% ownership. We have him with a 29% chance of being optimal now. So we must have just been really low on their projections this morning, and they've come up a lot because those optimal numbers certainly were not there this morning. I'm getting both of them now, and I hate it, but I also hate the Indiana guys that I'm getting to in that price range too.
Very intrigued to see the rest of this based on that data because that surprises me. I assume it surprises you.
Yeah, that was what I immediately noticed when I reran lineups was how much of those guys I'm getting now.
I have a hard time believing that Peyton Pritchard is the 10th most likely optimal play on today's slate.
I mean, it's just a weird slate because of that range. Like you're going to need the best player in that range or best couple players in that range. And there's only like 5 to 10 of them.
I guess, but at the same time, like we're talking about like I would expect that if his price was like 3,700. He's already 4,200 in point guard only. Like that's a pretty narrow bar for him.
Yeah, but compare him to the other guys in that range. Like Aaron Nesmith's playing 22 minutes. Nembhard's playing 22 minutes. Pritchard's playing 20 to 22. Hauser's playing something in there. Like everybody in that range sucks.
Might be true.
But like you need them.
Yeah. Yeah, look, man, that gets so tricky. That gets so tricky. I'm looking at it now, like just the bottom 4K range. Look, we're going to have no issue breaking down each one of these teams. So I think digging into what's at the bottom really helps. There kind of is a line drawn in the sand at Andrew Nembhard at 4,100. I think you have a very difficult time justifying Sasha Vezenkov, McGee. Isaiah Jackson's a little bit of a different story in that you'd be happy to justify him if you knew he was the backup center. Luke Cornett, Cody Zeller, McConnell, Banton. Like, there's not. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Like, I don't think I'm not like saying I think Pritchard's a great player. I think Hauser's a great play. It's just you need guys in this price range and your options are very limited. Like, you can't make a lineup where you're just not playing anybody below 7K, and the guys below 7K pretty much stuck across the board.
I guess there's like a case to be made that Nesmith, Pritchard, Nembhard are all basically the same dude on a per minute basis.
Similar playing time, similar production, better matchup for Pritchard and Hauser.
Sure.
But like I'm getting all those guys. If you look, my 3 highest owned guys right now or my 5 highest owned guys right now on DraftKings are Nesmith, Brown, Pritchard, Toppin, and Nembhard. Because there's just nothing, there's not a lot of other stuff in that price range to get to. And it opens the door for you to get to the guys that you actually want.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm just jamming Nesmith and Nembhard and not getting to Pritchard. What? Actually, I have it in front of me here. So we have him at 18.4. So I'm a little lighter than us on Pritchard, but even still, Oh man, I get it. Now that I'm looking at it, I get it. But it
Yeah, like
is.
John P said in chat, uh, this is the part where Adam gets you to like play a bad play or whatever. Make a lineup on DraftKings that doesn't have a couple of bad players in it, and let me know because I'm pretty sure it's impossible.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Like
The context, the
this isn't
context is different when I look at it in like a broad scope.
this isn't even the conversation you can have on like an 8 or 9 or 10 game slate where it's like, well, the value is really bad, so what if I just go balanced? Then I give up Jokic and Embiid at the top, but I go more balanced and just don't play the bad value. It's a 2 game slate, so like there's no way around it.
Hmm. Boy, is it gross. I think I just had it like locked in my brain that their ownership this morning made sense. That didn't help. And now I hit it. It hit me like a ton of bricks when I looked at it. Because I don't think there's much to say for Horford, White, Brown, Tatum, Holiday. Like, do you have any real takeaway thoughts here? I like Tatum the most. I'm getting Holiday the most, but I have like 30 to 40% of all of them.
Yeah, they're all pretty similar to me. I have 37% Drew, which is down quite a bit from this morning, but still a good amount, right in line with the field. I have 36% Tatum, so basically with the field there. 31% Jaylen Brown, so right around the field. Only getting to 19% Horford and 15% White. So I am pretty aggressively under the field on those two guys, which I don't love, but we do have them projected to be a bit more overowned than the other three. Derek White, 31% chance of being optimal. Al Horford, 38%, 43 and 46% ownership, respectively. Whereas Tatum is 33% to be optimal at 33% owned. Brown is 29% optimal at 29% owned. Drew is 33% optimal at 36% owned. So the three guys that are pretty much correctly owned, if you look at optimal percentage, are the three that I'm getting right around the field. The two that are going over owned, I'm not getting as much of. And again, it's not. I don't think that White and Horford are bad plays. They're still good plays. It's just with it being a 2 game slate, it is more difficult to find ways to be different if you're playing over-owned guys. So I think I'm just getting away from them a little bit further than I would be if this were a bigger slate.
Do you want to try and get to the mess of whatever is the backup center situation for the Boston Celtics?
I don't have it right now.
Yeah.
Don't know how those minutes are going to be split up between Cornette and Keita, but if you're playing the 33%, 100K to first on DraftKings, and you want to roll the dice and hope that you just get all the backup minutes from Keita or all the backup minutes from Cornette instead of them splitting it, then go for it. It's a 2 game slate. It's not like rolling the dice on one of those guys at no ownership is a horrible idea, but it's not something that I'm doing, at least right now.
I do not. Now I'm so unhappy that when this show ends, I have to like dig into my Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser projections just to like make sure that I got this one spot on so I don't get 0 of Pritchard and Hauser and only jam Pacers. Can't wait. Nothing more fun than grabbing the 9th and 10th guy from the Celtics today. Really make sure I've got their projections dialed into the decimal point. Can't wait. Anything else you think we should be touching on here for Boston? Oh, I have one that I know we'll get this type of question from people. Do you have any concerns with the way your lineups are constructed? Are you setting any limits or stack rules or don't play this guy with that guy type stuff?
No, don't care, especially on a 2 gamer.
Hold on. Boop, boop. Take a break for 5 minutes. That'll be easy enough. God. Well, time to cross my fingers and hope it's not a Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser day. And then you guys can cross your fingers and hope that it is a more content day because it is. NBA Live Before Lock coming up after this one at 6:30. They'll take you all the way up until 7:30, but we don't stop there. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, NFL Live Before Lock Showdown Edition. We've got Monday Night Football. Those boys will take you all the way up until kickoff of that one. So you've got 2 hours after us of live shows. Doesn't really get much better than that for you guys, at least not in my opinion. You can also go grab our avatar. Go to stokastic.com/avatar. Load that bad boy up on DraftKings or FanDuel, Yahoo, or Owner's Box. If you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries, you will get a free month of whichever stochastic package you're looking for, which will be a $200 value. This costs you nothing. The only thing we ask of you is to tweet this win at Stochastic HOF. It's that simple. Come on in. You get to see everything then. Sims, projections, ownership, premium Discord. We got a lot going on in the Stochastic streets. We want you to come join us. And this is the easiest way to do it if you don't want to spend a dime.
Toppin and Halliburton are both in.
Perfect. I saw it get mentioned in chat. Wanted to double check it first. But yeah, we got everybody for the Pacers. Halliburton, Obi Toppin. Bing, bang, boom. Kind of wanted that to not be there. I wanted no Obi Toppin just to like free up a little bit of something. But now we're going to talk about Indy. They have 8 dudes in double digits of ownership. Around 15% for 2 of their better guys in Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton. We'll see if that changes with that Q tag. We've got 30-something% going to Obi Toppin, Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard. Miles Turner's at 40. Aaron Nesmith and Bruce Brown are both around 50. I'll let you start this wherever you would like. If you want to go to Halliburton, go for it. If you want to go to the value, go for it. What do you think you want to start with here for Indy?
What do I want to start with, or what am I starting with, are 2 very different things. But it's the bad plays on Indy that I'm getting to the most. Also, bad players, I should say, or bad DFS players at least. Nesmith showing up 77% for me. Bruce Brown showing up 67. Brown, point guard, small forward, 5,600. Just very, very easy to fit into whatever type of roster construction you're getting to. Nesmith, 4,300 power forward, probably playing around 22 minutes or so, getting 47% ownership, 46% chance of being optimal. It's just a function of his salary and what we were just talking about with the Boston side, where there's very limited options in that price range. You need the price range to get to the plays that you want. So they're just going to show up a lot. For the season, Nesmith at 0.86 DraftKings points per minute. Nembhard's at 0.93. Brown's at 0.79. Brown should certainly play more minutes than those other 2, but also getting the 47% Nembhard at 37% owned. I'm getting the 49% Toppin at 31% owned. Getting some backup center minutes with Jalen Smith out, which is nice. Playing time's been good. He's at 0.87 DraftKings points per minute for the season. So, all 4 of those guys, pretty inexpensive. Bad matchup with Boston, not the best point per minute guys, but it's a 2-game slate and you kind of just have to take what you're given. So I'm not excited about any of them, but I'm getting a lot of them. Then you start getting into, actual good players. Miles Turner getting 40% ownership, only a 29% chance of being optimal. I only have 28%. So I'm much more in line with our optimal percentage than the field's ownership right now, which I'm perfectly fine with. I'm getting the 23% Halliburton, who is right now projected for 16% ownership. I do like that. Anytime you can get over the field on the highest projected guy on the slate, I like being able to do it. Maybe that ownership comes up now that we do have him confirmed in. Right now, we have a 22% chance of being optimal, 16% ownership. I'm getting basically right around that optimal number. So maybe the ownership ends up coming up now that he's confirmed in, but I'm a little bit over the field on him right now. I'm getting the 26% Mathurin, shooting guard, small forward, 4,700, 36% owned. So a little bit under the field there, but still looks like another guy in that sub 5K range that you're going to be getting to. Buddy Hield, the lowest owned guy on the team, 12% owned, 16.5% chance of being optimal. I have 22% of him. I don't love the $6,500 price tag, but I do like the ability to just get to a 12% owned real NBA player, fantasy point per minute guy. That's relatively appealing, even if I don't love the price.
I have 38% of Buddy Hield, so I feel pretty good there. I feel less good about having 70% or more of 4 dudes from the Pacers, though. 70% Nesmith, 70% Nembhard, 74 to Bruce Brown, and 73 to Miles Turner.
Chat is extra dumb today.
It's insane. It's like, did they click on the wrong link and think we're a different show?
Right.
I can't figure it out.
Oh, this ownership thing trying so hard to trick people. What?
I don't know. More underdog bots / morons are here too, so that should be fun. Oh my god, it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, I am over the field to every Pacer. that we'll talk about. Over on Neesmith, Nemhard, Mathurin, Brown, Heald, Turner, Toppin, and Tyrese Halliburton. That seems unappealing to me. But maybe, just maybe, the number one offense in basketball is just going to play like the number one offense in basketball today.
Yeah, and it just goes back to your options. Like if you were to say, well, I'm not going to play Neesmith, I'm not going to play Brown, I'm not going to play, the not very good fantasy producers from Indiana. That's great. Who exactly are you playing, and why do you feel good about them? Because the answer ends up being, well, if you were to just say you're not playing a lot of those guys, then you're basically by default saying you are playing more Pritchard, Hauser, Trey Lyles. Good luck.
Do you want to have the TJ McConnell discussion? He's 2% owned now. So I think it's very clear what we can do here. And it's just, you can't project him for real minutes and you don't play him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not playing him. The case for McConnell would, I guess, be what if Indiana runs an entirely different rotation than they did last time they were healthy? He's 3,400. So, if he were in the rotation, if you told me TJ McConnell plays like 16 minutes tonight, I would want to play him at 3,400, but there's just
he'd be the best value play on the slate.
Yeah, there's just nothing that suggests that's the case. Last game Halliburton was out, so don't care what TJ McConnell did in that game. You go back to the game on the 30th against Miami, where TJ McConnell did not step on the floor. That's the last time Indiana was healthy. So I don't really know how. To me, McConnell is the same thing as like the Cornette or Queta play, where you have to understand. Like in McConnell's case, there's a very good chance you're just getting a straight DNP. In the case of Cornette, Queta, at least one of them is definitely playing. But it's the same kind of thing. Like if you want to just hope that something completely unexpected happens and you're in a really good spot because you have $3,400 1% on McConnell, fine. But you shouldn't be looking at this saying like, oh, McConnell's going to play 16 minutes. Why isn't anybody playing him? You have to understand that you're saying like, he's probably not going to play, but I have the potential to get paid off really well if for some reason he does. And that's just not the approach I'm taking.
Do you want to take any shots on Isaiah Jackson?
I would like to, but I'm not.
A different path, obviously, than what we're getting at a TJ McConnell.
Yeah, I wish that I was to some extent, but I'm not getting there. He played the first half last game, didn't play in the second half. He's 3,800. He's a good point per minute guy. If he just gets the backup center minutes, plays 12 to 16 minutes behind Miles Turner, he looks good, especially given that, we're playing Peyton Pritchard and Hauser and Neesmith and these guys. It's not like the bar for good value play on this slate is high at all.
And we're playing them at like not great prices either. It's not like we're playing them because they're just cheap as shit, $3,500 dudes. Like we're also jamming them at bad prices.
Right. So out of the four guys that we've talked about where I'm not getting them, Cornette, Queta, McConnell, Jackson, the only one that I actually wish I was getting to is Isaiah Jackson.
Yeah. Because he has two paths. One, they could just simply use him as the backup center like a normal team would. Or two, something could just be like Miles Turner can get in first quarter foul trouble and then they just play Isaiah Jackson a little bit more because they don't have a choice. Whereas TJ McConnell is going to have a hard time getting in for foul trouble reasons. Whereas Isaiah Jackson can.
Agreed completely. Like Isaiah Jackson is one where I'm looking at it and I'm just like, there's a decent chance Isaiah Jackson ends up being a really good play on this slate. And I just feel really dumb for not having him. If you need TJ McConnell to win on this slate, or you need Queta or Cornette, so be it. Like I'm not going to feel like stupid for not playing them. Jackson, you could just look at this and go like, why wasn't I playing the 1.1 fantasy point per minute backup center at 3,800?
I feel like Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith are like our Brokeback Mountain. We just can't quit these dudes.
Yeah, except I play too much Jalen Smith.
Yeah, same. Well, that's a little bit of a Maryland thing for you. You have to factor in that checkbox in the homer situation too. So that gets tricky. When you have to double count those things, that's where you start to lose yourself a bit.
Yeah, I really wish the Maryland thing would just get me more Kevin Durant instead of Jalen Smith. Jordan Hawkins though did get me 125K.
But did he go to Maryland?
No, he went to UConn, but he's from Baltimore.
Oh, okay. I had no idea. I thought you were gonna be like, he went to UMBC.
No.
Oh man.
He's Angel Reese's cousin, right?
No. Who?
Yeah. The LSU women's basketball star.
Oh, dude, I definitely pictured Pokey Reese, former Cincinnati Reds second baseman.
Yeah, no, they're both from Baltimore.
Oh, gotcha. No, I did not know that. I think I've only ever seen her once, and that was when she did the what was like the problem in the women's tourney last year? Did I do the "You Can't See Me" or something, or
I don't remember.
something like that, right? Jordan, you remember? I didn't think so. Chad will hit us. That's the only time I saw it. I clearly haven't seen her play. Sorry, guys. Josh, it's pretty easy. I only take in sports that interest me. It's crazy like that. I don't know who the best cricket player is either, and that's way more important than women's basketball.
I still remember when Zion was in college, he had like that ridiculous block. And I saw the highlight and like, watched it for half a second, was just like, that's insane. Who is that? And people are like going nuts that like I didn't recognize Zion. I'm like, I haven't watched a minute of college basketball in the last 4 years. Like, why would I know who anybody is?
Nobody watches cricket except for the entire planet, except for the United States. I don't know. Like, I don't catch those highlights on Sports Center in the morning. I don't watch that shit either.
Right.
Like, I don't, yeah, I have no idea. I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not worried about it. I'm sure she's great. I'll never know.
I think last I heard, she's like not playing this year.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, okay, she's back.
Was that live or was that just to us, Jordan? Okay, Jordan's claiming academic probation. So, yeah. Welcome back. Angle Reese, right? Is that it? Ah, got the LE wrong. I see how that happens.
Are you literate?
It happens to me all the time. People go EL instead of LE. Bad joke. Bad joke. All right. Well, let's talk about Underdog because honestly, at this point in the show, I can't think of something that I want to do more. You guys should absolutely sign up at Underdog. Link in the description of this video. They've got an awesome banner at the top that I like as well. But please, what I want you to do is very clearly listen to this. Sign up at Underdog. You can do basically anything you want to do there. We've got a free square for Trevor Lawrence. You could take that right out of the gate. More than a half total yard. That should be very easy to obtain. Make a deposit. You're going to get a deposit bonus up to $100 using the link in the description or the one that pops up in chat. So put in 100, get 100. Pick'em contest if you're in a non-legal betting state. You get 20x your money. Daily fantasy contests. You can get into large field GPPs. Fantasy best ball. They are like the gold standard for best ball contests, and you get playoff drafts for NBA, NHL, and PGA majors. This is a one-stop shop for fantasy things in the sports landscape, and you guys can sign up using the link in the description of this video. If you're concerned with your play, if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. I got a cough.
You know what else really sucks with trying to project Isaiah Jackson?
Oh, this should be... No, I don't.
So, like the last two games, both games without Jalen Smith, he's played the first half, hasn't played the second half. He had that like respiratory issue too, where Carlisle said, he's going to play, but he's going to be like impacted or affected. Like there's a chance that he's just the backup center and he just didn't have the wind in those two games.
It's a good point. I forgot about it. That is out there. Yeah. I kind of want to give him enough that I get like 5 to 10%.
I'm trying to talk myself into it. Like, why not on this? Especially if you're playing a lot of lineups. Like, I'm playing 150 lineups on the 2-game slate. Do I really just need the extra Peyton Pritchard, Aaron Nesmith, whoever the hell else lineups instead of like just having some?
It's also not irrational. Like the backup center being the backup center is not like a hot take.
Right. Yeah. This isn't me saying, oh, well, I think because of this specific matchup against so-and-so, Isaiah Jackson's going to play more. It's like the backup center might just play backup center minutes.
Yeah. I'd like it a lot more if like Porzingis was still in and they had an extra big.
Yeah.
That would help. Because I don't think they'll care too much. Like they'll go to Toppin if it's Luke Cornett on the opposite side, I think.
So I mean, like we have Isaiah Jackson right now at 8 minutes, 9 fantasy points. On this slate, even if you get like 12 minutes, you're probably going to start getting Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think it takes much to get 5 to 10.
There is no gut here, John P. Like, I don't even think about who I'm playing.
Yeah.
On days I don't do shows, I do not know who I play.
Yes. Yes. On days you do shows, you usually
Also
don't
true.
know who you play until 7:01.
Also
I don't
true.
know. It's been generally better. It depends how many slates are going on. Normally we know,
It definitely depends how many slates are
but
on.
there are a lot of days where we're like, oh, wow, I played 37% so-and-so. Just figured that out at this moment. Pelicans are 3.5-point dogs in Sacramento, 236 total. For this one, we're really only getting minimal ownership. Well, we're getting real ownership to 4 guys and minimal to everybody else. Call it 30% to Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, and Joval, and 20 to Zion Williamson. I don't even want to explain how little I have of this Pelicans team.
I have, I guess similar amounts to this morning. I have more Ingram now than I did this morning, which I like.
I have
Um,
9.
I have 30. So I have 30% Ingram, 30% Joval, 10% Herb Jones, 9% McCollum, 3% Trey, 2% Zion, which feels really scary and gross. But I like I'm around the field on Ingram and Joval. I like that. Joval played like 36 minutes last game. He averages a little bit more playing time without Larry Nance, which is really nice. Price tag still reasonable at 6,800. It's not a great center slate at all. So getting to those two makes sense. Zion's just a little bit more expensive. I think also probably the fact that like I'm playing so much Neesmith at power forward is taking away from Zion a little bit, but perfectly fine play. I'm just not getting there. 20% chance of being optimal, 20% ownership. There's nothing that stands out as far as him being bad or anything. I'm a little surprised that I'm so far below the field on Herb Jones. 33% ownership, 30% chance of being optimal. Small forward, power forward, 5,400. He's at that price range where I would be expecting to get a good amount, but I'm just not for whatever reason. CJ McCollum, like I said, I'm getting 9%. The field's at 9%. At 8K, he's another one that's really interesting to me because he's so low owned. And you brought it up. We talked about it this morning. He played 38 minutes last game. He should project for around 35, but it shouldn't surprise anybody if he just plays 38 minutes in a in-season tournament game. He clearly physically can, and he's not getting ownership. So sort of wish I was getting a little bit more. I'm glad that I'm at least with the field on him.
I am shockingly under on everything here. 9% BI, 15% Herb Jones, so half, 11% Joval, so a third. And this one, I don't even really know how to explain. I have 0 Zion.
I have 2%, so same thing.
Okay. Weird price range.
I think that's what it is for me.
The flexibility of Jaylen Brown, $500 cheaper, is massive. Otherwise, you're jumping up $900 to Fox, who I think is a clearly better play. I don't like it. Like, it's never fun fading guys that are good.
Right. But no, I think, like you just mentioned it, I'm getting a lot of De'Aaron Fox now, which I wasn't this morning, but I'm getting a lot of De'Aaron Fox. I'm getting Ingram. I'm getting Jaylen Brown. I'm getting Jason Tatum. I'm getting Joval and Miles Turner. I'm getting Halliburton over the field. I'm actually getting to Sabonis now, which we weren't this morning.
Yeah.
I think it's just basically cutting out Zion.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not having, because of, I guess, how much Pritchard, Hauser, Neesmith, those guys, Nemhard, I'm getting to. I'm just not having trouble getting to the guys that are a little bit more expensive and project better than Zion. So it's sort of like I'm either getting to the lower 8K range or I'm getting above Zion. He's just kind of getting squeezed out.
Can we get to anything on the edges for the Pels? Like, is there any justification to Cody Zeller, Dyson Daniels, Hawkins, Najee Marshall? I'm going to skip Trey Murphy for a second.
Yeah, I have a very difficult time making a case for Najee Marshall, Jordan Hawkins, Dyson Daniels. Their prices have just come up from various guys being out. I think it's very tough to get there. And now you have Alvarado back in addition to, Najee and Murphy and Hawkins and Daniels. So we don't even know, you and I talked about it this morning. There's a decent chance at least one of those guys DNPs, and we don't know which one. So I think it's hard to make a case for $4,600 Marshall, $4,800 Hawkins, $4,900 Daniels. I think you could try and make a case for $3,800 Alvarado. But like we basically have him projected not in the rotation. I think the case for Alvarado would be if you say, well, I think Alvarado's going to play and maybe like Najee DNPs, and because if you were to get like 16 minutes of $3,800 Alvarado, then he's a pretty decent play. But clearly you're not confident or necessarily expecting that. The case for Cody Zeller would just be he's the backup center. If Jovel gets in foul trouble, you should get more minutes for Zeller. They will most likely play Zion at the 5 a bit, but he's 3,500 and weird stuff happens in NBA games. You at least know he's getting backup center minutes. That being said, though, I'm not getting to him. I am getting to a little bit of Trey Murphy, getting 3%. He's 5,100, shooting guard, small forward. You're just hoping to run hot in like 3-point shooting or steals.
This seems just gross. It's really gross. It's really, really gross. CJ is the most interesting guy to me. I'm not getting there, but I do wish that I was. Him being just point guard is really what's limiting him. Not only that, like Brandon Ingram being just shooting guard. I think that's really not helping this scenario. I think we'd be getting a lot more of both of those guys if they just happen to have an MPE.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already getting over the field on Ingram by a little bit.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. I thought you were under there.
No, I have 30.
Yeah. Wait, you said you're way under on Herb Jones?
Yeah, I'm way under on Herb Jones and Zion.
Okay. In my mind, I had that reverse, that you were getting to Herb Jones and not to Brandon Ingram.
No. I would have guessed that was the case, but it's not.
Yeah, I thought they would look decent here, but it's really just the dudes that play 30 minutes and that's it. Okay, do you want to have a Trey Murphy discussion? The fact that he's 5,100 probably stops us from like really having this one, but shooting guard, small forward, played 24 minutes in his return?
22
minutes in his return. The real issue here is that we just have no idea what their upper bound is for Trey Murphy. The only thing that we know is that they want it to be 30.
Right. I like the player. I like the positions that he's eligible at. The problem is just, I think it's the price. 5,100 on DraftKings, he's just already there. If he plays 26, 27 minutes, he looks marginal. If he plays 22, he looks like he probably isn't very good. So like I'm getting a little bit, but it's really tough to get too aggressive. I will say that we have him going quite a bit under owned. We have him with an 11.5% chance of being optimal at 4.5% ownership.
Interesting. Yeah, it's just one of those situations where there's no real way to tell how much he's going to play, and you have to make some assumptions about what he's going to do in order to like really justify it. So if you think he's just playing 22 minutes again, that's a real hell of a price tag to pay off at 5,100.
Yeah. 10 games for him off the bench with all of Zion, McCollum, and Ingram active since the start of last year. 0.86 DraftKings points per minute, 25 minutes per game.
I don't think there's anybody else that we need to have a conversation about here for the Pelicans.
I think we talked about them all.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, final thing for us to touch on. I want you guys to go check out OddsShopper. Head to oddshopper.com. Links are in the description. We have knocked down the price pretty dramatically to OddsShopper recently, and you're getting even more things with an OddsShopper subscription than you were before. So, one, you want to look at like calculators and bet builders. You want to shop lines across all of the different sports books for sides and totals and props and all of that good stuff. You could do that. Direct links directly to those books if you want to get that bet in quickly. You can do the same situation for the pick'em sites like Prize Picks and Underdog. All of this is going to be there, taking a market-based approach to beating the books. We're sourcing the best lines. We're comparing them to the rest of these books, and we're giving you expected value rates, expected win rates. We got a lot going on there. Not to mention, you can hop into our premium Discord, get some of the expert picks that are getting dropped in there by guys like Ben Raza, giving you wild stuff. He's going to be betting on like Division III, quadruple A, like high school basketball type stuff. That guy will find anything for you. If you need something to sweat on a weekend and there's not sports, Ben is the guy that you're looking for. He's going to give you the goods. But at this point now, there's a lot of value in the OddsShopper package. I know Greg has been printing money on it over the course of the year. Adam's had some success as of late. I am hoping I could have that success in the next month. if this goes live in North Carolina. And you best believe you're going to hear me talk about grabbing all of those sportsbook bonuses when I can. I'm going to get every single cent possible when North Carolina goes live. So maybe you live in North Carolina. Maybe you want to set yourself up. Go check out Odds Shopper so you can get the lay of the land before it goes live. Oh, I'm excited to be able to place some bets finally. Getting there.
It's a grind.
Yeah. It's just fun. Like, there are going to be times where, like, if I'm going out, I could at least I could bet instead of having to, like, get my lineups ready an hour before I do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I was going to say, like, when you're at games, too, it just gives you something to root for, but Wilmington doesn't have sports, so.
No, we were supposed to have single A Braves baseball, but we voted it down.
Yeah. I thought you guys had a minor league team.
No. Probably thinking of Delaware.
No, I just thought.
No, they had the land, and the vote went in for it would have been what is now the Rome Braves, which I think they changed their name to something else. We would have been them, and it was like a 4-1 loss in vote because it was like a giant chunk of property taxes.
I think I was thinking of Canapolis.
So they built the giant thing of apartments on them, and I bet the people that did that are way happier that they're just printing money on the riverfront. It's nuts. All right, let's get to Sacramento. 20% ownership to Fox, 10 to Sabonis, 30 to the Barnacle of the Bay, 20 to Kevin Huerter, 20 to Trey Lyles, and about 50 to Malik Monk. Let's start with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. We'll combine their two stars. 9,600 for Fox point guard only, 9,900 for Sabonis center only. Fox is twice as owned. How are you managing both of these guys?
I'm getting to them both, assuming you asked about Fox and Sabonis. I was half listening, but
that is what I was doing.
Yeah, I wasn't this morning. I am now, and I'm happy about it. Over the field on both guys. Fox, 20% ownership, 20% chance of being optimal. I have 37%. Sabonis getting 10% ownership with a 16% chance of being optimal. I have 18%. So once again, just more in line with the optimal percentage than ownership, which I like. Certainly very happy to get to either of them. The raw points they offer is nice. The price tags are certainly reasonable. It's easier to get to Sabonis today, too, just because the opportunity cost at center isn't as high as usual. You don't have Jokic. You don't have Embiid. You clearly don't have a huge mid-range of centers because there's no games. So just a little bit easier to get to Sabonis on DraftKings than it normally is. Yeah, over the field on both of them, and I like it.
The Rome Emperors now. That's what the new Braves team changed to, which is logical branding, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I got 40% of Fox. I only have 3% of Sabonis. I would like to get a little bit more, but I'm a little bit too overexposed right now to Miles Turner. What are you getting from the rest of this team? How are you managing Monk, Huerter? I almost called him Hunk, a combination of Huerter and Monk. Keegan Murray, the Barnacle of the Bay. What else are you getting to from Sacramento?
Monk's my highest owned guy right now, and the fields 47% ownership, 38% chance of being optimal. 5,700 should give you around 25, 26 minutes here. We know he's a capable scorer off the bench, good point per minute guy. At 5,700 on a normal size slate, he probably would mostly be an afterthought, but on this slate, it's just a really useful price point. He's very easy to get to. I'm right around the field at 45% as well. You had mentioned Kevin Huerter this morning, thinking that he's an interesting pivot. I don't disagree. 16% ownership for him, 18% chance of being optimal. So basically half as likely to be optimal as Malik Monk, but getting 1/3 the ownership. You could certainly make a case for pivoting to Huerter in some lineups where you need to save ownership. I'm right around the field at 17%. I think that's perfectly fine. Barnes is pulling 30% ownership, and that's another one. I'm kind of surprised now. I was getting him this morning. Now I'm getting half the field. I'm at 15%. Him and Herb Jones are the two that I've been surprised that I'm not getting more, given how aggressively I've been getting to guys in that range in general. Those are the two that I'm just not getting as much of. Doesn't feel great. I think that they're good plays, but Harrison Barnes and Herb Jones also obviously not the scariest guys to get away from. So I don't hate it. Like I wouldn't mind if some of my Bruce Brown, I think I had like 66%, was turning into more Barnes and Jones, but it is what it is. Not the scariest guys to get away from. Trey Lyles is pulling 20% ownership at 4,300, 22% chance of being optimal. Kind of surprised here too. Only half the field on him, maybe because I'm getting so much Sabonis or, getting over the field on Sabonis. I'm getting a good amount of Turner and Joval. So it's just where Lyles is center only. It's tough for me to get there, but perfectly fine value play at 4,300.
Yeah, I have 2% of Lyles, a 3% of Keegan, equal to Monk, equal to Herder, a little bit over on the Barnacle. But De'Aaron Fox is my big stand here. That works for me. I'm happy to have, 37% Fox in this one. It's just a weird spot. I don't think JaVale is like the backup center we're looking for in this backup center roulette because I just don't know if he could ever fall into those minutes unless Sabonis got hurt immediately into this one. And if that happened, I think that we're just getting like 30 something minutes of Trey Lyles playing center. So
Yeah. McGee is basically Isaiah Jackson to me.
yeah, but I would say worse off.
Probably. Yeah, because like Jackson, I think Jackson, if something goes wrong with like Miles Turner, I think Jackson probably plays more minutes than if something goes wrong with than McGee plays if something goes wrong with Sabonis.
I think that JaVale is just sort of locked into, 16 minutes no matter what happens at
Right.
at a max. Like he just doesn't have it in his legs. And he didn't have it in his legs like a couple of years ago too. So
Right.
I'd
Yeah, and
love to
I
know the
think
last time
16
he
might be
played north of 20 minutes.
I think 16 might be aggressive too. Like
Same.
12 was more what I was thinking.
Yeah, I won't have him. I don't want to do anything there. Any path to like Sasha Vezenkov, 4K, small forward, power forward, unowned basically.
I think it's really tough with Murray back. We saw Vasenkov start the second half a couple games ago when Murray was out, but with him back, he's just back into that bench role. Played 14 minutes last game, and I just don't know where more minutes come from.
Yeah.
When you have Murray there, like I don't think he's taking minutes from Barnes, Murray, Herder.
Same. Same. Hmm.
Yeah, like if Murray were still out, I think he'd be a really good play, but I think Murray being in pretty much just kills him.
Yeah, same. Do you think there's anything at the backup point, whether it's Ellis or Davion Mitchell, or is that just like a straight no?
I don't really see it. Neither one's a
Okay.
very good point per minute guy. Ellis is at least basically min salary, but Davion Mitchell's at 4,400. I don't really see how you get to him.
I think that's basically it here for Sacramento. Do you want to go over what you're getting to, sort of work our way down the tiers of salary from a payout perspective? I'd say we have four guys. Halliburton at 10.9, Jason Tatum at 10.1, Sabonis at 99, and Fox at 96. Are you taking any big stands either direction for those guys?
So right now I'm a bit over the field on Halliburton, Sabonis, Fox. I'm even with the field on Tatum. So I'm not like I'm getting to all of them. Zion's the one that I'm just not getting to. Like if you
Same.
sort DraftKings by salary, it goes Halliburton, Tatum, Sabonis, Fox, Zion, Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram. I am over or even with the field on every single one of those players, and then basically just not playing Zion.
That is yours is a little bit better for me in that I don't have as much Brandon Ingram either. But yeah, Zion is a literal zero to me, which feels unfun. Not the guy I want to have zero of.
Yeah.
I don't mind, like, sure, like, obviously we have to, like, you got to cut corners somewhere, but
Well,
I
and
don't
to
like,
explain it, I mean, I think the reason it's happening, if you just look at these guys, so Ingram and Jaylen Brown are a little bit less expensive than Zion. They're projected right around him. I actually have Jaylen Brown slightly higher, but
so do
they're
I.
they're projected right around him and they're cheaper. Then you get Fox, Sabonis, Tatum, Halliburton, who are all more expensive, but I have them all projected at least like 7 points higher than Zion. So it's just really funneling Zion out because if the lineup needs the better point per dollar play, it's getting to Ingram and Brown. And if it has enough value that I'm just chasing raw points, then I'm getting to whatever I can of Halliburton, Tatum, Sabonis, Fox. It's just like out of those guys. And it's not a knock on Zion. He obviously has a high ceiling. He's a perfectly good play. I don't feel good about having 2%. But when you look at the numbers and the fact that the projected ownership on Zion is in line with his optimal percentage. So it's not like he's going under owned. There's just nothing that is going to cause Zion to be driven up for me. It's not, he's not the best point per dollar play in his range. He's not the highest projected guy in his range, and he's not going under owned. So what's going to make him get into lineups?
Power forward center, also not all that like advantageous of a positional designation for today. You don't really need to unlock center for him. So he's basic, like for all intents and purposes, he's power forward only. You're probably not using a lot. I'm guessing you're not using a lot of Zion at center if you're getting there.
I mean, I'm not using a lot of him anywhere.
Right. So
on this slate, I think he could do it a little bit more,
yeah,
but still generally using him at power forward.
right. I can't even picture like who is available at power forward today. What am I
Aaron
getting
Nesmith.
blocked? Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Tatum 30% owned, Zion at 20, Horford, Herb Jones, Obi Toppin, Harrison Barnes, Aaron Nesmith.
Yeah. So Nesmith and Toppin are the ones that are just taking a ton of my power forward spots.
Nesmith for me for sure. I'm basically 30% on everybody else except for Herb Jones.
I'm 49 on Toppin. I'm 77 on Nesmith right now. It's just not leaving a lot of room for Zion.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Wouldn't be upset if those come down a little bit, but don't really know where the exposures would be going if they do. I guess maybe more like Jones, but
whatever. Do you have anybody under Andrew Nembhard? Nembhard is 4,100. Do you have anybody in the threes right now?
Under Nembhard, I do not have exposure to a single player priced less than Nembhard.
I got one share of Isaiah Jackson, but I don't think that's what we're talking about.
Right. I'll say that if that changes, I would assume it's because I just decide to give Isaiah Jackson a couple more minutes so that I get a little bit. But like if you're playing anybody cheaper than Nembhard, I think it's just one of the backup centers, whether it's Jackson, McGee, Zeller.
Who's your biggest fade right now?
Zion.
Yeah.
Zion, Herb Jones, Barnes.
Let's see. Mine is right now Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Zion. And that is not one that I'm looking forward to going back to the drawing board for. But I am getting dangerously close to turning this one over to the Live Before Lock crew. We've got 1,800 people in here, not enough likes. Hit that thumbs up if you want to. If anybody has any questions in chat, we've got a minute or two that we could take one. So hit us up with that right now. Sign up at Stochastic if you want, or Odd Shopper if you're just sitting around in the interim. Do we have anything? S&P, I'll tackle that one on the process tomorrow morning. That'll be easier. O'Shea Brissett revenge game. Also, is there an Aaron Nesmith revenge game coming in here?
Oh, I forgot he was on Boston.
Yeah. Kyle Brunson, we hit on Sasha Vezenkov a little earlier. Seems difficult now that Murray is back.
Can you update the lineup generator so I get some Isaiah Jackson? You can manually swap to Isaiah Jackson if you want him.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I got nothing else.
No, this looks like a really ugly slate.
It is really gross. I don't even know. So tomorrow's games are worse, probably. Knicks, Bucks, and Suns, Lakers.
Knicks, Bucks, and yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah. That's not going to be better.
Should be fun.
Yeah, they should be entertaining.
I mean, like LeBron, like obviously the Suns Lakers game will be fun, but Knicks playing is just miserable.
It's not good. It's not good. Do they have anybody on the injury report? No injury report submitted yet by the Knicks. Only the Bucks. No Pat Connaughton. Nobody else. The Suns and Lakers don't have one yet either. So that's going to do it, folks. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Stay right on this stream. That's all you got to do. They'll take you all the way up until 7:30. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the in-season tournament. Let's have some fun. We'll talk to you again later.
What is happening, everybody? It is Monday night where I'm rejoined with my dear friend Eric Lindquist. We haven't done a basketball show together in a few days, and we're coming back to not the best NBA DFS slates in the world because we got the in-season tournament starting. But I'll tell you, Eric, I think I found an edge for tonight, and we're going to be getting into it as we go here. As for you guys, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are sponsored by Underdog, and Underdog, they have actually, there's a couple of sites that have this exact same free square, both Underdog and Sleeper. They have an over 0.5 total yards for Trevor Lawrence. There's links for both of those below in the comment section. So if you guys want to sign up, both sites, $100 bonus on your first deposit. And you also get access to these free squares. Trevor Lawrence over 0.5 total yards. I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to have at least 1 yard for today. I'm not even going to get Eric's opinion on this because I don't want him to screw this up. We're going to get over 1 yard tonight by Trevor Lawrence. So lock that in, guys. If you haven't signed up at Sleeper, haven't signed up at Underdog. Easiest way to help build your bankroll and take advantage of those free squares. But Eric, how's it going and how was your weekend?
It was good. I was in Vegas till Saturday, came back. Had a great time. Went to the Pac-12 championship game. Good to be back, though. Did one show, the NFL show there on Thursday. I got done with the NFL show on Thursday morning. I was like, I should just go now. Like, I should just get out there. So happy to go and do that. Ended up almost binking the Thursday $15, which would have been insane. All I needed to get was 4 fantasy points from the guy that Pete Carroll said was going to get running back touches. He got 0 running back touches. So damn dirty liar there, but finished like 50th and would have just been an epic story because would have only been a 2-way split 500K. So that was unfortunate, but had a decent enough NFL weekend and ready to rock.
All right. So I am going to consider that a win in my book.
Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, you won the $15 on Thursday. There you go.
These are IOUs. They're as good as money.
Yeah, it's perfect. And so also, you guys, if you have any questions for us as we're watching, if you leave us super chats, we'll be answering those. If you have questions for us in the YouTube chat, probably going to be looking at those a little bit more than we otherwise might because it's only 2 games. There isn't that much to talk about. So I'll definitely get on any kind of questions you guys might have about general strategies for 2 games. And if you're in the Discord channel, one of the perks being a Stochastic member is you can add us anytime over the course of the day and we'll answer your guys' questions. So Eric, let's talk about some of just the general strategies about tonight's 2-game slate. And then also an edge that I think that I may have found. Is there anything that you think stands out to you more about this 2-game slate compared to others?
Yeah, because it's going to look like a playoff rotation more than likely. If I had a guess, like I worked through minutes last night trying to find props, and we had some props up pretty early. I think there were some good props that you posted over on X from OddsShopper as well, where you can get to some lines that might be a little bit inflated compared to what you might normally see. And then, well, if D'Angelo Russell if it's going to play like a playoff rotation, there's an opportunity for him to get shorted. And I think that was kind of like what your thinking was looking at that, looking at the board there where, there's a lot of closing lineups where they go to Reeves instead of D'Angelo Russell, and it's not a regular season game. But I think for tonight, looking at Boston, Indy, New Orleans, Sacramento, these are both pretty competitive games, all within 4.5 points. I think you're just looking at maybe thinned out rotations. And I think for me, there's only 7.5 guys really that I'm projecting to play for Boston. I think New Orleans is interesting because of the Larry Nance injury and some, Trey Murphy working himself back in. There's opportunities to get there. But like the Sacramento side, we saw them and Golden State have a pretty epic playoff series. We saw what that play-in tournament game looked like. So I think that there's probably some over projection for a couple of these ancillary pieces on both sides, but I'm curious what you're getting at. Oh, well, that's lovely. Hi, I'm Eric Lindquist. The exotic play of the day, Ryan Renabaum. I mean, are we just going to run back Payne Pritchard?
My internet cut out there, but so we'll see what's going on here. I also noticed I had some Sims running over here that kind of cut out for a second, but anyway, I don't know exactly what it is you said, but I want to have a discussion about this until my internet decides to cancel.
If you say exactly what I just said without having heard it, I'm going to be so pissed off.
Okay, so I think that the teams are going to treat these play-in games as if they are playoff games, and I think the starters are going to be playing like 40 minutes. The starters that matter anyway. Like I don't think Obi Toppin plays 40 minutes, but I think we see like Tatum play 40 minutes. Jaylen Brown play 40 minutes. Is that what he said, Jordan? Is it? Cool. We're on the same page then. Look, we don't even need me. I just get up. You do the show solo. Yeah, we're all set.
Finally, here we are. Cool. Now we can have a productive use of our time then. I mean, just come on. That just like literally just went on for 2 fucking minutes about the exact same thing. But yeah, no, I think we're looking at maybe some of these ancillary pieces not playing nearly as much. So what I did is I boosted, even like based on a couple of our projections, I'm getting to a lot more of the guys that I am positive are going to be playing basketball, and I am rotating around so much of the ancillary pieces that I am convinced are part of these rotations. And I alluded to your ex talking about D'Angelo Russell, where, there are playoff rotations and iterations where if he isn't knocking down shots, he gets ripped off the floor for Austin Reeves really, really quickly. So we're looking at really great opportunities across the board for today's purposes, talking about D'Angelo for tomorrow, where we could look at some of these rotations and we can really, really trim down on the ancillary pieces.
So with that in mind, here's what I like looking at some of the starters who I really think could play massive minutes tonight. And I think that's a pretty good place that we could start looking at the players that we're getting overweight to after we go ahead and answer some of these questions that we are getting in the super chats here. And, most importantly, it is Ryan Rennebaum who wants to know who your exotic play of the night is. And listen, there's limited options, but we do have the Boston Celtics playing on the slate. Yeah. It's a team that's been known for some exotic plays here and there. So Eric, who is the exotic play of the Monday night slate? It's a 2-gamer.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard probably.
Oh, is he somebody who's?
I mean, he completely smashed as the actual exotic. Like, he is the OG exotic play of the night. Like, truly the OG, right? God, I hate that graphic. I hate this bit. I hate all of you. I'm never coming back here ever.
So I actually have a little bit. I mean, if we're talking exotic, I actually do have a little bit more of Sam Hauser from the Celtics, and then I do have Peyton Pritchard. But I have an actual exotic play locked and loaded for tonight. A real one, and a good one, in my opinion. If we're going to see starters play massive minutes, here's one of the most overlooked players on this slate. In the night game, Domantas Sabonis is only projected for 10% ownership.
Yep.
Sabonis, if he avoids foul trouble, I would not at all be shocked to see if we get 40 minutes out of Domantas Sabonis.
So
tonight.
with you saying this, I have been going back and forth. Do I want to bet Domantas Sabonis triple-double? Talked about it last night. It was a lean. Every time it's like -305. I actually think -305 to record a double-double has some actual value attached to it, but like it's gone from +650 to +550 at FanDuel. And I still think, again, I'm on board with you. 40 minutes of him with a 30.6% assist rate, even alongside De'Aaron Fox, like the rebound rate, the ability to just be out on the floor for 40 times. We saw so many like triple doubles, near triple doubles during the playoff run for Sacramento last season. I think you freaking lock and load that now. I think you just kind of talked me into doing that.
And somebody also in the chat, I saw somebody asking, does that include FanDuel as well? Yes, I think Domantas Sabonis is one of the more overlooked players on the slate. Now, as far as FanDuel goes, he's not like quite as contrarian, because on FanDuel, where he's the power forward and the center eligible, he's actually projected for 40% ownership. So I like Sabonis on both sides. Relative to ownership, though, I have Sabonis, and I'm only playing 20 lineups today, by the way. But in those 20 lineups, I have Sabonis in 40% of them on DraftKings, and he's only projected for 10% ownership. Those are the kind of different like leverage angles that I'm looking for on this slate. And I'm not going to confidently say that I know that Sabonis is going to play massive minutes and that teams are actually going to treat these games as postseason games. But look at what they did in the first round. We saw the Boston Celtics, and if you told this story already, I give you permission to shoot me after this. All right, it's justified, and this is on camera as well. So Eric is any sort of charge that come against him, I've given him permission. We saw in the first round, the play-in rounds, the Boston Celtics intentionally fouled Andre Drummond up 32 points in the fourth quarter because they were trying to run up the score for point differential. That to me indicates these teams really give a shit about this play-in tournament, which is more reason for me to feel confident saying like, hey, let's at least take a chance on this 2-game slate, do something different, and project guys like Sabonis and other starters play massive minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to make money for like Vezenkov, Kessler Edwards on the Sacramento side, Sam Hauser for Boston, who's probably putting himself into a little bit of money, but still, that's what is it, $500K each player? Is that what it was? Or $1 million for each player?
It's
for
$1 million.
It's $1 million for every player. That's a big deal to numbers 9 through 15 on your bench.
So I don't know if you saw this, but I don't want to say I was in or out on the in-season tournament. It was just, to me, it was like, whatever, it's basketball games. I wasn't like super opinionated on it in either way. Damian Lillard gave an interview a couple of weeks ago that really sold me on it. What he said, because somebody had asked him, they said, what does $1 million mean to you? And he said, it's still $1 million, right? And I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact words, but $1 million isn't worth nothing to him. But what he said is there are guys at the end of the bench. There are guys on 10-day contracts. There are guys who are rookies who are on 1-year contracts who their role in the NBA is not guaranteed. And we as starters have a chance to change these guys' lives and their families' lives. So when people wonder, like, what do players like Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, what do they care about $1 million? These guys have, a brotherly bond with these guys in the locker room. And to them, they really do give a shit about trying to get these guys real money that could significantly change their lives. So that is why I do think we're going to see these teams play a little bit more aggressively here. And at the very least, I'm doing something different with my lineups on a 2-game slate, and 2-game NBA slates generally suck. And I think I may have found a potential edge at the very least.
Yeah, well, there's also just log jams. And I think one of the more difficult things for me to figure out what I want to do tonight, like the Pelicans aren't pulling a lot of ownership. And I'm not entirely like, I know why, because I think the studs are just more difficult. When you talk about Ingram, Zion, CJ McCollum sharing a floor and all being 8K, that's not ideal. Herbert Jones is your most popular guy at 5,400, but like, I think the hardest thing for me to figure out is what Trey Murphy III's minutes are going to be. And I know that seems like a weird thing to throw out there, but I know he played 22 minutes in that first game back. I know that he is a major part of this rotation going forward, but I don't know what the minutes upside is unless we were to get some kind of coach speak about it, because he played 22 minutes in a game that they blew San Antonio out. What are his minutes upside here in his second game back from injury? Because I've gone back and forth between saying 22, 24 for a hard cap. And then I've ran out lineups where I'm like, maybe he plays 30 minutes. Maybe it was partially blowout. You don't have, not that he was playing a ton compared to previous seasons, but Larry Nance is out for a while. Like Najee Marshall isn't going to be an important part of this rotation relative to a Trey Murphy based on playoff rotations last season. I mean, this guy was playing 44 minutes a night during the playoffs last season. I mean, this is really towards the end of the season last year, this is a guy who plays massive minutes. And I think he's like my one guy that I'm having a really tough time to figure out what to do. He's going to be out there chucking, like he had 10 3-point attempts in that first one, but like that's a piece of this slate at like 4.5%. Like it also has a trickle down effect of who else could even see the floor on that team if they go 7. Like if they basically cut it off at 7 guys, like Najee, Trey Murphy, Cody Zeller, a couple of minutes, like that makes Jonas Valanciunas one of my favorite plays on the slate. So I think New Orleans, because of the playoff implications, because Trey Murphy's minutes volatility, I would say that's a spot that I have highlighted all day.
And also, so maybe I'm kind of misunderstanding the payouts, but people are saying it's only $500,000, but so it's $500,000 for winning first, but it's $200,000 for making the final. It's $100,000 for making the semifinal, and $50,000 for making the quarterfinal. So if you add all of that together, it comes out to $850,000. So it's
a ton of money for guys who are making $5 million a year, $10 million a year.
So that's where I was coming up with that number. Now it could just be if you come in first, you don't get the other payouts, but I was under the impression you get everything. But
yeah, I think you do. I think you get everything. I think it rolls together.
But not entirely 100% positive. But either way, the players have indicated they care enough to try to win, to where this is how I'm going about and building my lineups under that kind of assumption. I'm giving some extra minutes to guys and kind of setting this up like I think it's going to be a playoff.
How many minutes do you have Trey Murphy for, just to get back to my question?
All right, Trey Murphy. Well, Trey Murphy also is going to be totally different, right? Because he's somebody who is coming back from an injury. We haven't really seen him play a whole ton this year. So Trey Murphy is going to be totally independent of this narrative, because we've only seen him play
Right.
one game this year and he played 22 minutes. So
And it was a
24.
blowout against San Antonio. So, I mean, it gets even more complicated is what I'm getting at.
I'm going to say 24 minutes for Trey Murphy.
Okay. I had that. And then I've also played with builds where I put him up to 29, 30 minutes just to like see what it looks like, because the guy legitimately was playing 40 minutes a night at the tail end of last season.
Yeah, it just depends, how cautious do they want to be with him coming off that knee injury and him working his way back. But my most exposed player on the Pelicans is Valanciunas, because we got this scenario where they don't play Zion a whole bunch of center minutes. There's no Larry Nance there. He's out. So we could really see the bulk of the center minutes go to Valanciunas. And if they are going to play this as, a playoff type format, like I think they might, we did see Valanciunas get up to 36 minutes last game. And we've seen more regularly him play 30 plus minutes since Nance went down.
Yeah, he's my favorite play of the slate. That's what I was getting at.
All right, let's go and see what other questions we have. And Jordan, as far as these super chats, are any of them from us outside of Ryan Rennebaum, or they were from the previous shows? All right, so we had Josh here said, thanks for tricking me into winning all of these years. You're welcome. I understand that it seems like that was a super chat for the last show, but hey, anything we could do to help,
You're welcome.
Let's see what we have in the Discord channel. And we've got some questions coming in here. This one is from, this is going to get super confusing now because I get all the notifications from the Insider Discord now too.
Oh, no, bro. Shit. Oh, shit. No.
All right. Tim Lee just said hi.
That's great.
All right. So Tim
Hello.
Lee. Hey, man. What's up? Captain Akella said, glad my tip bros are finally back. Who's the guy you and Eric would play in a single entry? Thanks in advance for the nuke of the night. To me, that's Sabonis on DK at only 10%. Like, he is not going to be crazy popular in single entry. I have Sabonis in my single entry lineup right now.
Yeah, Valanciunas, both centers from the game, I think we both really, really like for DFS.
They are actually both in my single entry lineup.
Dude, we're so on the same board with that. I mean, it was just very, very glaring to get to those guys relative to other people in the range. Also, it's tough to know because I think Boston has a lot of ways that with Kristaps Porzingis out, I think that there's a lot of different iterations. They've closed with Peyton Pritchard at times here this season. There's been some interesting closing lineups we've had from Boston, and I think it adds an extra level of volatility, especially in a game that's now 244.5 and should be shooting out. I think there's a lot of ways to get unique without getting stupid on this slate. And I think by far the best is just kind of targeting in on some of those pieces that are undervalued in the late night hammer.
Einsteinium said thoughts on McCollum and Sabonis tonight. So we've hit on Sabonis. McCollum is expensive, though.
Yes.
I'm finding it hard to get to CJ McCollum. Sabonis, less so, because, we've talked about that point. McCollum, I'm not really getting to. How about yourself?
No, I think that was what I was talking about before. Yeah. I think having all three of those guys, I think Ingram is my favorite of that trio. It's partially positionality. It's partially, what that upside can be playing alongside the other two. I think Zion probably has the highest ceiling, but like it's been so muted playing alongside McCollum and Ingram this season. So getting McCollum back 8K, that's probably the one piece of the Pelicans I'm having the hardest time getting to.
I am, not getting to CJ McCollum, and I'm with you. If I'm paying up for the Pelicans guys in my lineups, the 20 that I built, I have Ingram, one I have the most of from New Orleans. Then Zion, and I didn't get any McCollum lineups in my top 20. He's in none of them.
I have 2% of him, and I'm probably just going to take him out as is.
And I do see Stephen Leibowitz said the fact that McCollum played 38 minutes is worth some exposure. I hear your standpoint on it, but like I don't have concerns about the lungs anymore, right? 38 minutes last game. Seems like he's good to go. But here's the flip side of it. He's so much more expensive than he was earlier in the season. McCollum opened up the year when he was considered to be healthy, right? Everything's good for CJ McCollum. The team's all healthy. He's expected to produce at a normal rate. He was $6,600. And now his minutes go up and all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's just boost the shit out of this guy's price tag on DK. It's so far above what it was to open the season. I don't really understand why.
It's usually relative to what like they just got done putting up. I mean, he played 38 minutes. He went 28 to 38 minutes. This is kind of what I'm referring to with the whole I'm having a tough time with Trey Murphy thing. I mean, it was a collapsed lung for CJ McCollum. It wasn't like a tissue injury. It wasn't like a torn ACL or something like that. I think with Trey Murphy, I mean, he had knee. It was a partial, what is this called? Meniscectomy or whatever the hell. I don't even know what that surgery is. But Trey Murphy III played tons of minutes. Now, I think they can be a little bit more cautious because it's not... God, it's just really hard to know what to do with those minutes. And I mean, that would create a spot where you might entertain Hawkins and Daniels, but I'm not going to be probably playing either of those two, probably not playing any of the three main guys in any lineup there for New Orleans. Just getting to a ton of Trey Murphy, Herbert Jones, and then Jonas Valanciunas, by far my favorite.
I find it very unlikely that you've never heard of or had a mini-sectomy before. Very unlikely.
I don't know what that is.
All right. If you say so. If you say so, Eric, we've got a Hef Love in the YouTube Discord channel. Hef Love saying, do you think not playing Tatum or Jalen makes a lineup different enough in a small field single entry on DK? So if we go ahead and look at Tatum and Brown, like it's not like these guys are expected to be crazy popular or anything. We've got Tatum projected for 32% ownership, Jalen Brown projected for 29% ownership. So I don't really think that there's anything crazy unique about not playing them in a single lineup.
Nope. With you.
And yeah, I mean, to me, the way that I'm making my lineups different is, I've got some exposure to the later game when the field isn't really. Shout out to a Weatherman 7, who has been back in the streets.
Yeah, there's that pair.
Yep, we've got the sexy pairs are back. So this looks like let's see, what is this pair? So this pair looks a little shy, right? Kind of like doing like a tee-hee, looking off to the side here. And that is the super chat from Weatherman 7. Yeah, just a little pair. Yeah, that's don't need that anymore. But thank you very much for the super chat, Weatherman 7, and I hope you got your money's worth there with Eric doing a little bit of a dance for you.
Yeah, $1.99 worth. Not a cent more.
We've got Einsteinium who's saying, any concern that Pritchard gets steamed up even more than he already is?
I don't know. I don't think it. I don't think it matters. He's 4,200. I know he's going to be a part of the rotation. He closed against Philly. It's like I feel like I just have to play him to find salary savings anyway. Like it's these things where people on 2-game slates are trying to fade chalk, trying to fade things, and try to find reasons to not get to guys. Sometimes you just need the salary to be able to find different lineup constructions. And again, the Sims tool, I mean, there's a lot of chalky plays that show up in the Sims tool that are quote unquote over-owned. Doesn't make them bad plays. So I'm not really worried about Peyton Pritchard getting steamed up. I need Zamani.
Who is the cheap player that's picking up a lot of ownership that you are most concerned about the minutes of?
Good question. Let's pull this up. I think that's a really, really good question. And obviously, on a 2-game slate, these are the things. I understand the question. I will say Aaron Nesmith by far.
Okay, so for me, it's similar sort of thought process, but Andrew Nembhard, especially with Halliburton playing today. Nembhard is projected for right around 40% ownership. If you told me Nembhard only plays like 18 minutes, like if he plays minutes in the teens, that would not at all be surprising to me. Because if we are under the assumption, right, that there's potential for starters, Halliburton, I know Halliburton's got the respiratory illness that he's playing with, and maybe that is something that ends up being an issue for him. But if we do end up getting 40 minutes at a Tyrese Halliburton, that comes directly from Andrew Nembhard. To me, if you look at somebody like Nesmith, and the Nesmith could end up suffering from the same thing. They could just be like, hey, Obi Toppin's our guy today. We're playing Toppin a bunch. But I actually do think that Nesmith is probably a better matchup against this Celtics lineup than Toppin. So not that I'm 100% just certain that Nesmith plays decent minutes, but I'm way more concerned about a minutes downside for Nembhard than I am for Nesmith.
See, what I'm worried about is that with Nesmith, he's 4,300 power forward only. And like, he seems as though I have the same thought process you do there. Andrew Nembhard, I get a feeling he will not be 37%. I think people, if you work through those minutes, if you look at how I mean, they really don't play Halliburton and Nembhard alongside each other. I mean, I'm looking around the industry. There's places with 15 minutes, 17 minutes. Like, there are really low minutes projections for him, and we have him closer to 22. That feels on the high end for me, and I think that that's where some of the ownership's coming from. Obviously, if Tyrese Halliburton is limited for whatever reason with the infection, with him, being sick, I think you're probably looking at Nembhard being all right, but like, I don't feel good about it. I'm probably with you. And like Nesmith, I do feel like that ownership is going to hold to some extent because people are looking for the savings. I think he gives you some sort of like, just because you see that he's played 20 minutes multiple times, but yeah, Nembhard, I don't think he closes. I don't think he plays a ton alongside Halliburton. It just becomes a very difficult sell for me. All the big Nembhard games have come opposite, or usually it's Halliburton being out, going back to like the Golden State game last season. But yeah, Nesmith, I think, is going to be really, really popular, and it's just nerve-wracking.
And another part of this too is considering how well he's played as of late. How convinced are we that TJ McConnell just completely drops out of the rotation and that he doesn't get any of the minutes when he could take those backup minutes as opposed to Nembhard as well? So to me, I think Nembhard has the hardest minutes to project. There's a ceiling there for him at $4,100, but there's a definite downside, and at least as of right now.
Is there a ceiling though? That's what I'm worried about. Is like he's not a good fantasy producer. There's like 0.93. Oh, I see what you mean. Like the minutes upside. Yeah. No, I got what you're saying. Yeah.
To me, there's a ceiling in terms of if Halliburton is limited, it's a 2-game slate. The value generally sucks. If Nembhard goes out and scores 18 fantasy points, that could land him in an optimal lineup tonight.
Yep. Sorry, boss. I didn't mean that.
Let's see what else we have as far as questions here in Discord. So we're going to answer these 2 questions that are here, and then we're going to be doing the nuke of the night, guys. So prepare yourselves. Strap in. First, Tim Lee is saying, for further thought, I think Trey Murphy's minutes will affect Joe Val the most if New Orleans wants to run a faster small ball lineup. And then he followed up by saying his favorite play of the day is Harrison Barnes. I think a lot of people are sleeping on some of those Kings guys. The main issue I have with Trey Murphy is really, to me, that he's only played 1 game this year. They were very cautious bringing him back from an off-season minisectomy, as Eric called it before. And I don't know that they just want to ramp his minutes up. And I know that this is a game that I said like could be considered more of a playoff type atmosphere, but it's still kind of somewhere in between. Like, I don't think they're just going to push guys who are not totally 100% into a big role.
But that's what's so intriguing about it is we don't know. Like, we haven't heard from the coaches, and that's. I'll just you want to do nuke of the night now because it's going to be Trey Murphy.
No. We've got to follow up on the questions.
Yeah. So Trey Murphy, I said the minutes are so hard to figure out, but like, I think there's such downside with popular pieces already that why not embrace it with a guy like Trey Murphy? Like, for me, it was a San Antonio game. Let me go back through some of the rotation. Let me go back to Popcorn Machine. I was looking at it earlier today. And again, I've just been beating my head against a wall trying to figure out how I want to handle this with the Pelicans specifically, because it's a team that's not pulling ownership. And I get why. There's 3 guys that are AK plus that are all going to play 35 plus minutes, barring complete blowout, which obviously there's no point differential to think about anymore. So a blowout does cap your upside for some of those guys. So that has to be considered to some extent. But like, I think when you look at Trey Murphy, those minutes, I think maybe had a ceiling to go up to 30 in the event that you didn't have a blowout against San Antonio, that they actually needed to push him, or you could have what's being projected, which is 24 minutes. Like, they're being cautious with him. He could have played 2 more minutes or something. We're going to have a hard cap on it. But unless we get that news, unless it says, hey, Trey Murphy is going to be limited to 24 minutes tonight, I'm under the assumption that the range of outcomes could at least be up to 29, 30 minutes for a guy who they would want to have play 40 minutes tonight if he was healthy. So it's just one of those spots where it's like, at least he's not pulling any ownership to be able to fire it up.
And we've got the Pacers starting lineup here, which is Halliburton, Brown, Hield, Toppin, Turner. So nothing really all that surprising there. That is the starting 5 that we were anticipating here. And Einsteinium did ask us in the Discord channel if Buddy Hield is a good way to get different in a somewhat chalky lineup. Yes, because I think he's a great leverage play, Buddy Hield. He's only projected for 12% ownership. And you look at Buddy Hield, and this is another guy where what does his success look like? And by the way, his minutes are all over the place anyway, right? Like this team with the Pacers, they're generally playing Buddy Hield like, oh, is Buddy Hield making his shots? Cool. He plays like 34 minutes. Is Buddy Hield not making his shots? Well, then he plays 24 minutes. And it doesn't even matter if Halliburton's in or out. It's just if he's making his shots, he's in. If not, he's not on the court. Kind of perfect for a tournament scenario. And now you're telling me that he's only projected for 12% ownership. Oh, and also on top of that, if he does make his shots, what does it mean? It means less minutes for Neesmith and Nembhard, who are projected to be super chalky. So yeah, I think that not only is it a good way to get different, but I think he's a great leverage play in general.
There's one guy that always comes to mind. I mean, I've been doing this for 7-8 years playing NBA DFS, and Terrence Ross. I mean, this is the most Terrence Ross thing, period, where Terrence Ross plays 32 minutes and he puts up 55, where he plays 18 minutes and he puts up 6. And going in that it's just going to be, well, is he popular or not? And I think this is a better situation than that. This is a tighter range of outcome because he's going to be on the floor for a lot more minutes than a Terrence Ross would be in some of those situations.
Then one more question here from Clyde, and then we're going to hit on the nuke of the night. Clyde wants to know, would we limit any player combinations like Tatum, Drew, Jalen? For a 2-game slate, it's a no for me, right? If you're playing on like a 10-game slate, you don't want Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum in the same lineups in general, depending on what the price points are. But for a 2-game slate, there's only so many combinations to make that I don't really massively concern myself with it. Do you feel differently, Eric?
No, I do not.
And the other thing, too, to consider is what happens if a game goes to overtime, right? It totally breaks a 2-game slate. So I just kind of let it run and just put everything through the contest generator and see like, all right, these lineups are dupes. I probably don't want them as much. And then other stuff that's, less dupe, something that might rate out better. So particularly like Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, if they're in the same lineup, no real issues with that. But it is time. And I see Jordan Klein is already ready for it. Hit the animation. It is time, Jordan. Nuke of the night. Here it goes. The scene not from Call of Duty. Man, nuke of the night. Nuketown destroyed. Eric, now that we've destroyed Nuketown, what is your nuke of the night? Who is the player that's going to set you apart in DFS tournaments tonight and is going to win you a tournament?
Trey Murphy III. So obviously we had earlier Jonas Valanciunas. He's the number one nuke of the night. He's the leader in the clubhouse. I'm sure if you go the Sabonis route, it is what it is. My favorite play on the slate is Jonas Valanciunas, but my second favorite is getting to Trey Murphy III. I look at his rotation minutes, and here's the thing. He played 7 minutes leading into another 7 minutes, the tail end of that San Antonio game. He literally played in a row 14 minutes. 14 minutes is a long stint to be on a floor if you're worried about injuries. And at the end of the day, there was a blowout in that one. And I think these minutes, I think it's correctly projected. But sometimes when you look at projections, it doesn't tell the entire story. And that's where the ownership projection has to come in. What happens if Trey Murphy III is actually healthy? If he's knocking down shots, he's a willing participant in the shooting department, 4 for 10 from 3 in 22 minutes in that debut. I just think there's an opportunity that's not being expressed in his projection or in his ownership as well, where he could go out and play 30 minutes here tonight. I don't think it happens more than 25-30% of the time. I think, 28 is probably a more reasonable number of what I'm hoping for, but I just don't think he should be sub 5% on a 2-game slate here, knowing that he is a meaningful part of this rotation and somebody that if he were healthy would be on the floor for 28, 30 minutes in pretty much all situations.
For me, I mean, I got to go back to the guy I brought up at the top of the show. And if people weren't watching at the beginning, I'm going to bring him back up. Domantas Sabonis. These are games that I think could be playoff type atmospheres. Sabonis, if I'm not mistaken, this is the cheapest he's been the entire year on DK. I think this might be the first time. Let me fact check myself. Is this the first time Sabonis has? It is the first time since November 15th that we've seen Sabonis priced at last game is also 9,900. 9,900 though is the lowest price point that he's had in a few weeks here. And when it comes to Domantas Sabonis, we know the kind of triple-double upside he has. It's a 2-game slate. He's only 10% owned. And if he stays out of foul trouble, which is a pretty big if for him, I think there's a realistic chance for him to play 40 minutes in these playoff type atmospheres. So Domantas Sabonis is a player where I'm well overweight to the field too, like getting to him today. And I know Eric said at the top that he likes Sabonis as well.
Big time.
And another super chat here. This one is this another sticker? Oh my God, it is. It's another sticker from Weatherman 7. And this, what is it doing, the sticker?
Find it here. Oh, this one's going. Yeah. I feel like one of those horrible videos of those like the girls that are like doing the what is this like nom 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 nom. What are the fellas
What's it called?
The TikTok thing?
What's it called? It's the NPC lives. Trend. Yeah. But what do some of the fellas do on those, Eric?
Oh, I have no clue. I've seen a couple of them. They make me cringe hard. Jordan, no, Jordan Klein, bad Jordan Klein. I don't need that. Okay, it's like Bill Hader in what's the Getting Over the Jason Segel movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he's like, hey, get closer to the screen, get further away from the screen, closer. Oh, you're a bad kid, Jordan.
Well, I was trying to set you up to create an internet meme, but unfortunately, you've not fallen for it. Josh Engleman, on the other hand, has fallen for it. And actually, can you any chance that you could throw that up on screen? Really? Any chance? Yes.
I need to see this.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. So I was trying to get you to do what Josh ended up doing on a show, but Eric was too slick. He didn't fall for it. He's read too many YouTube names that were names he shouldn't have said before on shows. And
Kicker of K.
Yeah. he thought better about it before acting there. But yeah, that is the NPC trend. And then we've got a super chat here from Nick Thompson. So we'll read Nick Thompson's super chat. And hopefully by the time we answer this question, Jordan will have the other video that I have in mind queued up and ready to go. Nick Thompson, in the spirit of Ace of Spades, DK tiers. Yes, sir. So tier 1, I'm going to go with Domantas Sabonis here. I know from a projection standpoint, Halliburton and Tatum look a lot better. Sabonis is going to be almost unowned in tier. So I'm going to go with Sabonis in tier 1. By the way, Eric, do you have any input on these, or do you just want me to go?
No, all you. Go ahead.
So tier 1, I'm going to go with Domantas Sabonis. Tier 2, it's a bunch of guys that are very, very close, but I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown. Tier 3 for me, Jrue Holiday. Tier 4, that is Malik Monk. Tier 5, that is going to be Benedict Mathurin. Tier 6 is absolutely dog shit tonight. Listen to the players we have in tier 6 tonight, Eric. It is Sasha Vezenkov. It is Isaiah Jackson, Luke Cornett, JaVale McGee, Cody Zeller, and Jose Alvarado. That is your tier 6. And then you also got guys like Chris Duarte, who's out, and then Kessler Edwards. So I'm going to go with Vezenkov here, but the options are not good at all in tier 6.
Volatile little range there at the end.
Anything else that you want to add to any of those names, like Vezenkov, Jackson, Cornett, McGee, Zeller, Alvarado, or any of those guys, players you took chances on in classic contests?
Yeah, I have a little bit of Vezenkov purely because you go through Sacramento, how they've closed some of these games. He's it's him, Davion Mitchell, Trey Lyles, and I mean, he's just a dude to punt with. Son of a biscuit. Seriously, whenever I run the Sims, every time, do it one more time. Whatever.
What's funny about it is everybody watching the show now knows when you're updating your lineups.
It's so annoying. Whatever. Start video. Come back, little thing. Whatever. You're not very nice. You know that? You're somebody who really needs to check yourself before you go and you wreck yourself. There. Oh.
You came back for like a second.
Awful. There I am. Hello.
Well, while he's figuring that out, did you find the video, Jordan?
No. What the hell?
All right. So Eric's got some technical issues that he has to work out. In the meantime, here's
you're doing this on purpose, Jordan. You have to be.
No, we've got something more interesting to talk about, Eric. We've got Josh Engleman displaying the NPC trend.
Go.
It really should have been Eric, to be honest. And why that clip isn't being brought up more often on shows is totally beyond me. But there's the NPC trend. There is what Eric was doing before, but there's also the fellas version of the NPC trend, which Josh really put on full display. What was that, like a month ago now or something, Jordan?
Oh my God. That was worth every. I've never seen that before. That is that was something. That was a thing that happened in the world. Our company's really going places.
I know you could just look in the YouTube chat and you could see. You could just see, and now we've got Weatherman7, who he's left us a hot dog emoji. He knows what's up. That is Weatherman7 with the hot dog sticker. And then another one from Weatherman7. It just says
1999. Does this like a progression where now I have to like do something worse than what I did before? Is that how this works? Or do I get to just say thank you so much? And I've already paid. There it is.
We got the sexy pair looking in a mirror and just seems to be smitten with him or herself, the pair. Doing the one leg up in the air and just happy to. This is actually very bizarre ego trip by the pair, because nobody should get that excited to look at themselves in the mirror.
No, they should not. Also, tell me this is a 2-game slate without telling me it's a 2-game slate. Like
my man, it is a fucking 2-game slate, and it is what it is. We've got some questions coming into the Discord channel to answer as well. This one is coming to us from NRG457 wants to know, is Halliburton going under-owned? What is the latest ownership on Tyrese Halliburton?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, he's 10-9. He's very, very expensive. On FanDuel, he's 11-4. I mean, this is a dude who definitely is under-owned relative to his chances of being optimal, but also you got to get the other pieces of your lineup correct with it. I mean, it's just like Christian McCaffrey in the NFL. It's like, cool. You got 25 from him. You probably got roasted yesterday if you played Christian McCaffrey as opposed to all the other options you could have gotten to with that money, specifically Tyreek Hill. So, there's just so many spots where you have to just say, all right, I got to just accept that, there's positive leverage to be had here, but like, I got to accept that I'm not going to get to as much as I would want on a regular slate, simply because the other pieces have to fit too.
The problem I have with Halliburton, and my answer to this is going to be he's about appropriately owned at 16%. I just don't feel great about the value plays you have to get to him. And then also, here's what happens. If you want to play Halliburton, it probably is dependent on you playing guys like Nembhard and Nesmith, who I think negatively correlate with Halliburton. Like, if these guys are playing bigger minutes, it probably means Halliburton wasn't dealing with the respiratory illness great. So to me, I don't really think that Halliburton is under-owned, because you don't love the value plays on the slate. And if you are getting to the value plays that get you to Halliburton, it's the cheap players on the Pacers who lose minutes if Halliburton plays a bunch of minutes.
Yes, sir. We've
got a question here from Capybara. This is a super chat from him. He's asking us Isaiah Jackson versus Trey Lyles on DK. And then he said, thank you. Hip, hip, hooray. Isaiah Jackson, Trey Lyles. Jordan, can you pull up the player comparator? We haven't gone to that yet today. And I think it's an interesting way to look at some of these cheap guys here that we could potentially be looking at. So on one end, it's Isaiah Jackson. On the other one, it is Trey Lyles. This is a DK question. By the way, if you guys want to sign up for all the tools and data we have at Stokastic.com, the lineup generator, the contest generator, the Sims tool, all of this is included in one bundle if you sign up using the link we have below. And then also, if you just want to sign up for the lineup generator, there's a separate package for that for $14.95 a week. And Eric and I could build some lineups in the lineup generator after this in a second as well. Trey Lyles. Let's see what we're getting to. These two. Trey Lyles by a landslide, 87.8%. That is a whopping margin of victory over Isaiah Jackson's. He's going to be more popular. Isaiah Jackson's probably dependent on Miles Turner either getting injured, getting into foul trouble, or a blowout to have a pretty decent game. So Trey Lyles it is.
Yeah, Trey Lyles.
James Magruder is asking us, is Pritchard, Nesmith, and Hauser okay for a single entry? Yeah, I don't think any of those guys are players like you can't play or anything like that.
Agreed.
Next question that we have is from our Discord channel, and this is Blinky. Blinky wants to know, what are the thoughts on playing Trey Murphy and Herbert Jones together tonight? Eric, I know that you've been kind of the Trey Murphy guy on the program so far. Are you okay playing him and Herb Jones in the same lineup?
Yes, I am.
Grown
I mean,
Simba
there's iterations of their closing lineup that don't have J-Val for what it's worth. I don't like them, but the Pelicans have definitely shown that they'll go to small ball. You know, they'll go to Zion center, close it out. I mean, obviously last year playoffs, it was Larry Nance instead, and that's different than a Zion. But again, if they want to go small ball and try to stretch it out and you know, Domantas Sabonis, it's a risky one, but obviously I think there's lineup iterations where it doesn't have J-Val to close.
We have a question in Discord. This is from Grown Simba. He wants to know, can Eric build an all exotic lineup for us?
Oh my God. See, this is where this was always going to go. And then it just, there will be a future employer in my life who goes back and they're just like, what is this exotic bit? And I'm just listing off white dudes. And it's just like, as if I care more that they're playing basketball. It's like, that is not the case at all. And I want to let it be known, I will not partake in your shenanigans.
So I'm eyeballing it right now. You can't play a viable lineup. It leaves a lot of salary on the table, unless you want to give like an honorary mention to Derek White.
Dude, see, this is where fuck, man, don't stop before.
And also, you have
now.
to play Vezenkov at power forward, which I'm kind of against tonight. So it's not. You can't play a good lineup. Let me think. Is there anybody? Yeah, there's no real pay up options. Shocking. So yeah, not really anyone that I would not one that I'd put my hard-earned dollars behind. James,
Eric, you don't want to put any of this on your resume. That's probably true.
I don't have a resume.
Also, what is that? What am I getting? Here's this flimsy piece of paper to go get a job that I wouldn't want. This is great.
What is your biggest accomplishment on your resume?
I was the president of student athletes for 2 years at Iowa State University.
Cool. So that was something you did 35 years ago.
Oh, fuck you, dude. Seriously. I feel like I've said the F word more on shows in the last 2 weeks, and it's all because of you just being passive aggressive. And here's the thing: money has made you different.
This is aggressive,
money,
not passive.
Oh yeah, it's true. Not just aggressive. Money has changed you, bro. Money has changed you, and I don't appreciate it.
It has not at all. This is exactly what it was like before. Wrong. We've got some more questions in the Discord channel. I'm helpful. I think I still answer everybody's questions, which you do sometimes you don't.
Yeah, it depends.
And also, I'm just answering the questions people give us. Yeah. This goes back to some of the debates you and I have been having for years, where people ask us questions, I answer them, and you go, not answering that question.
Well, you're the master debater, so it makes sense.
I answer all of them.
Mm-hmm. Master debater.
Exactly. That's why I like spending time on Twitter so much. We've got Hef Love here who's asking us, Fox and Pritchard or CJ McCollum and Monk. Fox and Pritchard for me.
Fox and Pritchard. I love, well, I mean, everything that we said about Domantas Sabonis to some extent applies to Fox. The problem is that, well, Domantas Sabonis, again, it could just destroy this slate for DraftKings scoring.
Let's see what we've got next from C Love. This is actually a very, very similar question. Fox and Joval or Sabonis and White on DK? Can you plug this one into player compare tool, Jordan? This one's very close.
Yeah.
Fox and Valanciunas or Sabonis and White?
I mean, obviously, I like all four of the players that you just said. I guess White's the one I like the least of the four, but I don't think that, I mean, in terms of projection, we've gotten nearly 32. He's 43% owned. I mean, I think both have awesome contrarian pieces there with the J-Val and with the specifically the Sabonis one, who's actually contrarian. J-Val pulling 32% ownership. So I'm with you.
Pull that one up, Jordan. It is Fox. Oh, already got it up there. All right, Fox and Valanciunas. Yeah, I mean, this really shows how close it is. Fox and Valanciunas, Sabonis and Derek White came out 50.8% to 49.2%. I'm going to go with Sabonis, the Sabonis side. I really like the low ownership we're getting on him. If you look at all the players in this combination, he is by far the lowest owned. It's also in something that's pretty close to a coin flip. Give me the side here. We've got somebody who's projected for this low ownership in Sabonis. So going with the option on the right, Sabonis and White.
Sabonis season. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Always. Rocky Raccoon 7, Malik Monk 75% on FanDuel, and then he wants to know, did he transmorph into Luka overnight? And I missed it. Lukic Moncic. I think I missed something. Anyway, Malik Monk 75% on FanDuel. And as far as Malik Monk, he is projected for, 76% ownership on FanDuel. Here's the reason why. He's got great positionality, shooting guard and point guard eligibility. You have to play two of each of those on FanDuel. He's also pretty reasonably priced at $5,100. So he to me is the overall best points per dollar play on FanDuel. I get why he's that popular, and I think it's more or less warranted in Malik Monk. If you're going to pivot off of him, I think this is kind of an interesting talking point. If you're going to pivot off of a 76% owned Malik Monk on FanDuel, I don't know, Eric, did you build lineups for FanDuel as well?
I did.
Who do you think is the best pivot off of Malik Monk, considering all the ownership and his price point?
Kevin Huerter?
That's really all I've got as well.
I think that also because if Kevin Huerter closes, that probably takes Malik Monk off the floor. I think that they probably... I'm not saying you shouldn't have lineups where you have both of them, but yeah, if you're trying to pivot off Malik Monk, I think Kevin Huerter probably the only guy I'd answer.
Agreed, but also the ownership on Malik Monk, I don't really have an issue with it on a 2-game slate. I think it's fine. Yeah. We've got Dancing Elephant who's asking us Tatum and Neesmith or Brown and Horford. I prefer Tatum and Neesmith.
Tatum and Neesmith for sure.
Burner 5989 wants to know, do we care how many players we get from a team or a game on FanDuel for a 2-game slate? I mean, just 4, because that's the most it'll allow you from a single team is 4.
Yeah, otherwise you cheated, and then you're probably in trouble with the authorities.
There we go. C Love, follow-up question. Sabonis, this is a 3v3. Sabonis, White, and Bruce. Oh, no, this is a 4v4.
Oh, God.
Why not just ask us a 9v9 at that point? All right, so C Love. Sabonis, White, Bruce Brown, Herb Jones, or Tatum, Monk, Neesmith.
Give me a lineup, Greg. Give me a lineup.
This is a lot to do in my head here. All right.
Are you showing dissent upon the viewers? Are you, Gregory, not answering a question?
I'm going with the Sabonis side, but I'm trying to make sure I give him my real heartfelt answer.
Okay. Yeah, you really sold that there. That was nice.
How about you? Which side are you going with? Can you?
I'm not going to answer that. I don't know.
It was Sabonis, White, Bruce Brown, and Herb Jones on one side, Tatum, Monk, Neesmith, and Valanciunas on the other side.
The second one.
Oh my God, going against me. And you guessed. You guessed. You didn't even listen to all the names. You guessed.
I didn't. Not
all
gonna
right,
lie.
C-Love, the Sabonis side. The Sabonis
side. Saboner. Always Saboner. If it's somebody and somebody else, we're taking Saboner today.
We have gotten all caught up on the super chat, so we're all good there. And then Up with Downs is asking us White and Fox or Holiday and Sabonis. That is Holiday and Sabonis for me.
Yeah, Saboner. We'll go back to him.
All right, so now we just got a few minutes left to go here, Eric. So let's go through each position and give out our most rostered players at each spot for the night.
Yes, sir.
Point guard for me, that is Malik Monk.
Malik Monk.
Shooting guard, that would also be Malik Monk. So I'll go with Derek White.
Yep, Derek White.
Small forward, that is Bruce Brown for me.
It is Herbert Jones for me.
Power forward, I did go with Neesmith is where I landed on the most there. For yourself?
Herbert Jones again. Other guy would be Obi Toppin.
And then center for me, it is Valanciunas and Sabonis.
Valanciunas and Sabonis, same.
Weatherman 7 has left us a super chat. He's saying glitzies for the glitzy gobbler. And then he left, how many bananas is this? Oh, no, hot dogs, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just showing off at this point. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's like 15 hot dog emojis that he's left us.
That's cool. Glizzies for the glizzy gobbler.
Was it Weatherman 7 who left the super chat that led to Josh going to town on those hot dogs, Jordan?
Are you zooming in on me just to have me do the... I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I refuse. I'm not that stupid. It will never, ever... It will get posted on every post that I have from now until the end of my life on Twitter. Josh... People are like, oh, well, it's Josh. He's being silly. And it's kind of gone away from his life. It would be on every single thing that I did from now until eternity if I did that.
You wouldn't even do it for $1.99?
No, I wouldn't do it for, you couldn't do it for $19,999 because the emotional turmoil that I would receive in that instance would not make it worth it.
You're a lot more expensive than I thought you were going to be.
I'm a classy bitch. I'm telling you, I am classy.
I'll tell you. So Eric talking about people who changed. There was a point in time where if you lightly made fun of Eric in the YouTube comments, he would shave his eyebrows to get in your good graces.
Sure did. Yeah, I've since built a brand since those days, Greg. I made something of myself. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
Boy, who's really changed?
I guess I am the problem. I guess I am. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
All right, so there are no more questions here in the Discord, and we've only got like 30 seconds left until lock. So Eric, any final thoughts, comments on the slate that we've not yet hit on before we close this out?
Yeah, I ended up playing more Neesmith than I'm comfortable with, but I'm okay clicking it now. I was just kind of rerunning some stuff and finishing up lineups, just kind of reacting to how ownership was changing throughout the show. It didn't really change throughout the show, but perceived ownership in a couple of spots. Go J-Val, go Sabonis, and then obviously getting different with the 30% Trey Murphy in my life. That would be fantastic.
And that does it for us. If you guys have not done yet, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget, you sign up at Underdog or Sleeper. Take advantage of the free squares tonight. Trevor Lawrence, over 0.5 total yards. He gets 1 yard, either on the ground or throwing the football, really anything, which is going to happen. You're going to get yourself a free square. So sign up using the links below. That also gets you up to a $100 bonus on your first deposit. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Peace out. See you back here tomorrow.